Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome to the recap. Today, I'm joined by good old Liam from Crewe as I get his 5 takeaways from the final away game of the season at Crewe. Liam, it was a 1-1 draw. The deadest of dead rubbers, but you were back at Crewe Road for the first time. But in the away end, what was it like? What was the feeling like being back at Crewe?
Glad I got away from there fairly quickly. It's not a place that I'm particularly that fond of. I was born there, lived there for 3 years, and then only really ever visited my granddad who lived there. So um, my life in Crewe ended quite early. But being in Crewe Road, first ever game of football was there, so it was quite weird to be in the away end. And at one stage, it was looking like deja vu from the first game that I ever attended at Crewe Road, where Crewe got beaten. Although it was 5-1 that day, so it was nowhere near like that on Saturday. But they were losing. It was just weird being in the away end. I've never been in that end of Crewe Road before, only in that big, massive stand where the dugouts are. But yeah, in a way, it was strange being back. But yeah, it was a nice day. Nothing riding on it though, so it was a bit of a sightseeing tour for me.
Yeah, pretty much. And that big stand, them stairs are steep. The amount of times I had to walk up and down them just to do things and get my sausage roll before the game, I was just like, dearie me, I cannot do this week in, week out. Thankfully, I don't have to go to Crewe next season, although I did enjoy my trip to Crewe Road. Let's talk about the game then, Liam. The first takeaway, of course, is dead rubber, because it was the deadest of dead rubbers. The amount of times I said that on game day and videos, the amount of stuff that probably Stu and Andy have written about it, it is the deadest of dead rubbers, and it felt like it, didn't it, on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, we were all hoping that this was going to be something teeing us up for a last day finale, but of course it's been done for a number of weeks, and the fact that Crewe were already relegated, which is a shame for me personally, seeing them go down. But the thing is, you even though it was a dead rubber, you could see how poor a side they are. There wasn't a lot. They were complete contrast actually to the team that came to Portman Road in, was it November, December,
Yeah.
when they played some really good stuff in that game, and they were unlucky actually to lose that game. But you can see why they're bottom of the league. But from our point of view, it was really, really just. We'll talk about fans a bit later on, but the players just don't have that same enthusiasm as the fans have shown, and it is easy to switch off when you're in a dead rubber, but for a lot of them, that there is still pride. McKenna's obviously only in the job for six months or so. So for him, it's all about trying to create a culture and everything. And it was just really disappointing that the players didn't. It was as I said on game day, it was a microcosm of the season. Go ahead, look comfortable, look threatening to potentially get a second, but not do enough to get that second, and then get hit by a sucker punch. And that's been the way it's been for a long, long time. If you don't take chances, then going to get hit. And fair play to Crewe, they grew into the second half. But at the end of the day, I mean, people can take things from it if they want, but it didn't mean anything. So it doesn't really matter to me. All that matters is what happens at the start of on the 30th of August, the 30th of July, when the new season kicks off. So couldn't care less with a 1-1 draw against Crewe in the game that means zilch.
Well, that's the end of the video then. Thanks everyone for watching. But no, we got to fill time. We got to fill this recap video. But your second takeaway is basically what you just said just a minute ago about not getting a second goal, not killing the game off. I know it didn't really matter. 3 points doesn't matter at this stage, but it's always good to finish the game and win the game, of course, going into next season with a bit of momentum. But we just couldn't kill the game off. Connor Chaplin scored his 11th goal of the season to make it 1-0 just before half-time. Second half, you thought, okay, could we score a few goals here and there? We didn't. Crewe then equalised with an absolute bouncing strike from Tom Lowry. And that is what we've got to look at next season, is getting those killer goals, scoring from set pieces, and weak mentality a little bit there.
Yeah, it's just getting the players. I've seen a lot of stuff on social media since, and people talking about, are these players really going to do anything different to what we've seen in the last few seasons? And I believe we will. The quality of these players is far better from what they've shown this season. Town are not ruthless enough when they're on top in games, and as you say, that is something that has to be done, sorted out in the summer. And I think it will, because I think all it needs is some players up front who are going to score goals regularly. For some reason, all of our strikers has decided to shut up shop pretty much since the 4-0 hammering of Gillingham in January. So, you can't do a lot, and you just got to hope that they make the right investments in the summer, which I have every confidence. And we just look forward to next season with renewed optimism. But it is a little bit of a worry if that doesn't get rectified.
Definitely. And your third takeaway is on Joe Pigott and KVY, both getting a start. Wes Burns missed out through a bit of a niggle he's got. He, of course, was part of the League One player of the season. So congratulations to Wes. But KVY came in. He's been out for a while. He comes back in. And Joe Pigott starts up front. Your thoughts on both of them? Probably KVY had a better game than Joe Pigott. Of course, Joe Pigott did get substituted in the end. But your thoughts on both players?
I'll start with KVY because that's the easiest. I thought he had a decent game and continued to give that same level of threat that Wes Burns does. Maybe not as good, and there was one moment in the first half where he was in a very good position and then took an absolute horrific touch but went about 50 yards away from him. But that's just rustiness. He's a good understudy. He is a good understudy for Wes Burns on that side. I mean, they can also maybe play him down the left, and we'll talk about the left. And I'm sure that will be a topic of discussion a lot in the summer. But if you can get KVY firing, then he is going to be a potent weapon, because he does give you that pace and drive down that side. But he's back from a long layoff, so you're not going to expect absolutely fantastic everything to turn to gold for him. So, but I thought it was a decent performance. Whereas Joe Pigott, I just feel sorry for him now. It's just, he tries hard, but his game isn't suited to the way Town want to play. And I think the big question, in the summer is, will Town look to maybe offload him, let him go to another club and regain his form? He's not a bad striker. People who keep shouting he's not good enough and this, that and the other. He's not a bad striker. He scored loads of goals in a Wimbledon team that struggled last season and almost got relegated. But it's a different type of play. If you're going to put crosses in the box, which Town don't do that often, then he's going to be a danger. But he's playing so far away from the penalty area, trying to pick the ball up, that it's not his game. And unfortunately, with the lack of opportunities, and then the opportunities he has been given and he struggled, his confidence has just got worse and worse, and his performances just don't seem to be able to. He just doesn't seem to be able to get much positivity out of it. So it's a shame for the lad, but I think the best thing for him is I know he might want to fight, but it may be that he looks to leave and go and find a football club that's more suited to him, and I'm sure he'll be back in the goals.
Now, your fourth takeaway, Liam, is on Dominic Thompson. Why is this?
It comes back to the overarching question about how one-dimensional Town are, and we discussed about KVY on the right replacing Burns, and that there's not a huge amount different. Apart from Burns has had a very good season and KVY's been on the operating table most of the year. He is a very quick fullback, and if you keep him fit, he is going to be dangerous. On the other side, we haven't had that on the left-hand side all season. Coulson never stayed fit and was inevitable he'd go back. Penny is okay going forward, but he's in there to also be a defender, and he can't defend. and he was always, I think, brought in to be a number two. And so they brought in Thompson, and I thought he'd started well, but he's gone off it, and I don't know if that's because Town have just gone off it, but he doesn't add anything. And I think, again, it's a bit like Pigott. I think it's not him per se. I think it's just the way that Town are playing at the moment, the system that they're. Thompson is a fullback, and I think he'll be a very good fullback, but he's not a wing back. And he hasn't got the more offensive side of the game to him. That it's just blunt down that side, and it was the same again on Saturday. That just no real threat coming from that side, and that's why Town. I think that's why Town has struggled a lot in the last few months, because teams have just basically decided to try and take Burns out of the game, and then it's either midfield or the left-hand side, and we get nothing from the left-hand side. So it's a tough one, but I would be looking to potentially allow him to go back to Brentford and get a proper left wing back who can replicate what Burns does on the other side. So then we get a dual kind of attack from either side. Because at the moment, we're exactly like what we were under Paul Cook, just a different formation. Because if you think about it, we had an attacking left back at that time in Coulson when he did play, but then we had a very defensive right back in Donatian who didn't get that far up the pitch. I know we had all the issues defensively, which forced Donatian a little bit deeper, but it's still an imbalance. Whereas if you have two players who are going to have that same kind of pace and power down those flanks, it's going to cause a world of pain to teams. And we're free at the back. That should give them license to do that. So that's what they should be doing. I just think Thompson has sadly fallen short in the last month or so, and I just don't think he's going to get another contract, whether that be a loan or a permanent deal.
Indeed, I agree with you there, my friend. And the final takeaway, on a positive note, after the 1-1 draw at Crewe, was 1,300 Town fans, travelled to Cheshire, and it's just mad. For a dead rubber, going all the way there. I know it's only 3.5 hours, something like that, but still, going to the away game all season long, they've been fantastic. 23,000 has been sold for the Charlton game, the last home game of the season, last game of the season. You've put this takeaway as fabulous fans, because Town fans have been this year, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic, absolutely fantastic backing all season. I think I saw something that after Crewe, I think the final numbers go up to just over 35,000 combined total. I think it is of overall fans at away games this season, which is just that is almost the size of some championship clubs' home grounds. And we've taken that to away games all across the country this season. It's just been magnificent. And you have to say special mention to the Crewe game, because for me, it was a bit different. I was always going to do Crewe, whether there was anything on or not, because of my personal personal circumstances there. But for 1,300 people to go to Crewe, buy a ticket when they knew that the season was already dead. These tickets weren't out before they weren't out when we were still kind of just about thinking we could still do something. These tickets had pretty much come out when the season was pretty much gone. So, and people have still bought them and still travelled to go to a game that absolutely meant nothing. And it just shows how much the fans have really got behind the whole club this season and the whole game changer era, I guess. And long may it continue. And I just hope that next season we all get rewarded for all this backing with some hopefully silverware and obviously a promotion, which would be the cherry on the cake. So which we all deserve for what we've done this season, the amount of travel that people have had to do. So I can't applaud people enough. It's just a staggering thing.
It is. Top that goes off to all of you. We're going to Forest Green Rovers next year, and all that sort of the grounds. I look forward to that. I'm sure they're going to back the boys again next year, and Portman Road's going to be packed week in, week out in League One, which is just fantastic. But Liam, thanks very much for joining me on today's recap video. Get involved. Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff. And look out for many more videos that will bring you throughout the week. See you all then.